Morning, everyone um, from California. My name is Saheed. Thank you, Ibrahim, for organizing this. I know we tried to find a time as quickly as we could, but I'm glad to be here. My presentation today is around a growing theme on how the technology landscape is changing. And one of the things that I have come to understand with um, with technology is it's ever changing. And with the advent of AI, I've noticed that you don't need a technical co-founder. And I'm going to more like state my case in this presentation and that what you need is an MVP studio. An MVP studio in this context is minimum viable product. So if you're a business person, you would know that minimum viable product is what you need to showcase that a product is viable. Um, so I'm gonna go um, around and give you an agenda. This is the agenda. It's going to cover the founder persona from 2010 to 2023, what were these founders like? And also, I would outline um, the technical landscape as well, and also provide you what the next frontier of technical or what founders will look like going forward, and how the MVP studio model connects to that. But as well, then I would show you things that the MVP Studio has helped others to do, and also what the MVP Studio does internally. So, and then I'll open it up for questions. Usually will not take time, but I just want to it's like laying a case. First, myself, my name is Saheed Adepoju. I senior software engineer. Formerly worked at Intel and NVIDIA. This is not my first startup, or should I say upstart. I was responsible for launching the first Android-based tablet in Nigeria back in 2010. And also, Process Nigeria was an IoT startup, similar names, but different direction. In Nigeria, I developed a traffic monitoring device that was able to count traffic on roads. So that's like more like background for myself. Have you ever come across any of this statements when you're trying to look for ideas? You want to build something, you have an idea, and you reach out to technical people, and they say things like, "Oh, I'm busy right now. This project is complicated. It would take 6 months to build. I'm busy." And this was a use case for a prospective customer who, we had a consultation, and he was telling me that, hey, I found this guy, ex-IBM, and he said, oh, your project is complicated. It's going to take 6 months, it's going to take thousands of dollars, and he doesn't have the time. And I said, no, that is a 2-week project. And he was surprised. You've heard the thing like, oh, I'm going to take 55%, you do 45%, I'm doing all the work, without the technology, your ideas will not work. And then you hear things like, oh, this is going to be complicated. You need a front-end designer, back-end engineer, database, full stack, and you need to pay them full time. And, you hear things like, oh, how much is this worth? Is it worth my time? I want to be part of this, but, if we're not raising $1 million or we need $100,000 to pay for infrastructure, pay for engineers. We need AWS credits. We need Azure credits. They just throw all of this. Meanwhile, all of this period of time, your idea is just sitting down on a piece of paper, no movement in all these periods. So, what's the founder persona like? What were they like from 2010 to 2023? They were PowerPoint entrepreneurs. You could literally build great slides and essentially nothing. You would get funded because you had great presentation skills, fancy graphics, beautiful things, amazing speaker, slides like this, something very interesting. They were vibe entrepreneurs. They were found in certain circles. You only rolled with a certain clique of people. You dressed nicely. Nothing wrong with dressing nicely, but you had to look the part. You had to talk the part. There was a certain vibe you had to give. You had to be in a particular clique. And the ultimate dream of most of the PowerPoint entrepreneurs was Y Combinator. Y Combinator has been great for the ecosystem, but the dream for most people that have any ideas is, hey, you know what? I want to just build. I just want to get into Y Combinator. You're not talking about whether the product is going to be built. You're not talking about whether there's a market fit for the product. Nothing. You just, if I can just get into Y Combinator, everything will be fine. Now, Y Combinator have launched lots of businesses, but not everybody will get into Y Combinator. This was the founder persona for this time. And they leveraged on external factors. Let's see whether we can take advantage of whatever the market trends are. It's all about that. And then you have to have the fancy degrees. Okay, if I cannot, I have to have an Ivy League education. I have to have an MBA, a PhD. I have to go to Stanford. I have to go to Harvard. Now, again, nothing wrong with any of these places. The whole point was that was the persona of the founder. Like, this is what I had to do. This is where I had to be. This is how I had to, you know, position myself to build a product. I'll give you another outlook, economic outlook for 20 from 2010 to 2023. A lot of things, again, these are my own thesis. This is not something I read in a book. This is not something that you probably would have heard anywhere. This is just me bouncing out the trends. So, what are the four things that I noticed? I called it CTAC. Cheap money. There were very low interest rates in this period. 2008, 2009, there had been an economic recession. The interest rates have been brought so low such that money was cheap to borrow from the banks. Low interest rates. The other one was section, you probably this is very segmented towards America, and the reason why it's vital is because whatever happens in America typically is something that affects everywhere else. Tax section 174. It might sound very weird. Again, this is me just connecting the dots. It's a tax section in the tax code that says you can reduce your R&D costs by you can deduct the full cost of your R&D from your operating revenue. So you want to, you run a business, operating revenue, you made $1 million, and let's say, hey, you know what? I spent $900,000 on R&D. Your taxable income is $100,000. So that gives you an idea. When Donald Trump came in 2017, he passed a tax code that repealed this section and said, hey, you can't do 100% tax deduction anymore. This was 2017, and it was supposed to take effect in 2022. So he removed it from the tax code. It now said, hey, you had to deduct only 25% of your costs. Now, what every single big tech company was doing at this time was your operating revenue, which is your salaries, you could deduct it as R&D because so all the companies were enjoying this. I could, just deduct them. So 2017 expires 2022. What did they do? They did hiring, accelerated hiring. You saw this massive jump of like, hey, let's go hire as many people as we can hire. Why? Because I can deduct that before 2022. So they all rushed out because the repeal was coming 2022, and they said we gotta hire, just hire anybody, because I want to be able to deduct that from my R&D cost. And then, with COVID, that also accelerated explosion of social media economy. People were creating contents. So this was the economic outlook. It was like beautiful. Like this was like dreamland. Cheap money everywhere. What's going on now? Now, what's going on is AI adoption. About the same time, we had this little thing called ChatGPT, and it exploded. I used it for the first time, and it was beautiful. So there was this AI adoption that was happening. And then 2022 came around, Trump comes back into power, the repeal had happened. So when Biden was in power, the repeal kicked in. When the repeal kicked in, meaning you couldn't deduct 100% of your cost, it was now 25%. What happened? They started laying off like, oh, no, I need to reduce how much I spend on R&D. So there was an explosion of layoffs. Why? I can reduce how much money that, I spend on R&D. And then what did they do with all that money? Extra money, they're piping all that fund into data centers. So in the next 5 to 7 years, they want to spend $7 trillion on on that. But guess what? July 4th, 2025, Trump passes the big beautiful bill. He has now allowed you to deduct 100% again. So everybody's going, oh, I can go back and start hiring. It's like, no, but I don't want to hire. I want to pipe all that money into data centers. And then it gave rise to the AI agentic coding era. So what has happened now is the future now is all that money that you can now deduct, it's going to be put into data centers, and it's going to give rise to folks like myself that is now using AI agentic. So how does all of this pipe together? What is the new persona now? What's the new founders persona from 2023 going forward? First, we know that money is going into the data centers. We also know AI is coming up. So, what's the next level founder going to look like? You have to know how to sell. You're not getting a lot of Y Combinator people funding anymore that much. They don't fund PowerPoint slides anymore. Now they believe that why should I give you money for an idea when it's very cheap to write software? Why? Because of the AI agentic era. So go bring me a product and maybe I will fund you. So the next level persona is sales. If you cannot sell, don't bother. If you cannot just sell, 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 and what you're selling is a product, and you also must have acquired a customer. So it's not just I have a product I have built. The next question is who is using it? That gives an idea of if we're going to fund you because now, why? There's an agentic AI system out there. You can go build. You don't need to have all the fancy folks anymore because it's cheaper. And then you must bootstrap. They must see that, well, you spent your own money to grow your own business. I'm not going to give you money if you're not going to put money into it. The previous founder persona, take $100,000, see where it goes. Why? Because money was cheap. It was cheap here, 100,000, go do it. But now nobody is doing that because all those funds, they're not thinking, oh, I better go build a data center. This is where it's going. So they're not going to give you money if you don't have a product. So that's the next level. So how does this all fit in? Coming to the studio model. Studio model is very, very simple. A process, what I essentially do is I meet with you and I discuss with you what exactly do you want to build, and you tell me what you want to build is your idea. It's not my idea. So I do not get a stake in your business. I don't say I want 5%, I want 10%, none of my business. This is your business. You want to build your idea. So what I help to do is to bring ideas to life for vertical entrepreneurs. Oh, another thing I failed to mention about the persona of the next level business um, is that it's the vertical owners, vertical professionals. When I mean vertical, take for example chemical engineers or electrical engineers, people that are so good at their craft. Those are going to be the next level because those guys have honed their skills over decades and they're so good at what they do. But what they want to do now is I have an idea, I want to bring it out to a set of people, and I have a set of customers. so that the technology is no longer a hindrance to that. And that's where the studio model works because my ultimate aim is to bring that to you. So I bring that, I don't take a stake in the business, and the overall goal is to build this out in 2 to 3 weeks. In recent time, I've compressed this to 96 hours. I can literally get out your product from idea to concept in 48 hours. Complete infrastructure. Also, I'm never in charge. Even though I write the code for you, I'm not, I don't hold on to your IP. And I just provide you a bedrock so you can take that and then you can hire a team or you can go ahead and hire software engineers to do your work from there on. My own is to just give you that initial push that you can bring in front of investors or get customers acquired and then take it from there. However, there's also the part of the infrastructure is I can operate it for you. If you say, you know what, you've built this, I can't afford to pay someone full time, but it seems that you can manage this for me. Yes. So if all your products are built from ranging from $300 to 8 grand, $300 being like the minimum infrastructure only, everything would run 247. Bugs, anything that is wrong, something is failing, will be fixed. Up to way all the way to 8 grand, you can say, you know what? Am I gonna I'm making money, but I need someone on staff that is not full time, but someone that I can pay month to month to make sure everything is on because I have new ideas that I want to build. So that goes up all the way to 8K. There are different tiers in between that, but that's the whole aim. The fact that you have someone on staff that can do this for you. And you only ever deal with one person, myself. So that's the studio model. The studio model doesn't involve a whole team of people. It's just one person. And this allows the customer to keep just selling. So you can raise $1 million, $2 million. You can be making 40 grand, 50 grand. It's not my model to take part in that. So that's the studio model. Next, I want to provide you use cases because it's easy for me to tell you about all of this and I don't show you some of the tools. So this I can share. This is a current customer that I'm working with. It's called Ole Ole. It's a soccer fan site, football, as most people in Africa and Europe will call it, soccer for American people that are listening. And it's essentially a social media site for soccer fans. You can follow each other, you can text each other, well, DM each other, you can create fan sites, you can upload videos, and this set of founders engaged me August 29th. We've built the entire infrastructure from ground up, from scratch. So we have a referral system, there is an advertising platform, they're advertising to their customers. There is a predict and win system, which is, you predict the game and then you put, who's going to score first, and the system automatically calculates that. It scales, it's 24/7. It provides you live scores, match details in real time. It's live right now. You can join. And this what was delivered was a front-end system, a back-end system, a database engine, it has a Redis cache, and it scales, and it's live right now. So that's one product. Internally, um, I also build products for myself. So I watch lots of movies and I got bored over Thanksgiving and I decided to rewrite a service that I currently run on WhatsApp channels. So essentially, I have a WhatsApp channel where I'd watch a movie, then I'll post it, and people would say, "Hey, this is very good." I have 125 people, and I said, "What if I just transform this into a service?" So filmcurator.io was built. This was done in a day. So it's a full service that was written in one day that allows you to subscribe for free. You subscribe to the genres that you want, and you get movies whenever I watch them. And it's something that I watch, so it's not an engine, it's not a AI system that is recommending. So I watch the movies, and then I send you the recommendation, and you get an email. I'm also working on an app that allows you to get notification when something is sent. So that kind of gives you an idea of the kind of things that you can do with this. I have another one that is called Book Scout. Again, this was built Thanksgiving is a Thursday, Friday holiday. So this was built maybe Wednesday, Thursday night. Um, and this is, this allows you to select the book for your kids. So I have three kids. So if I want to get books for them, for example, for their birthdays, it becomes very, very confusing to figure out what books to get. They're young kids, so you don't know what they're reading. So I built a service that tracks books, keeps them in a database, and then you can go in there, create a profile for your kid, set their birthdays, and it will generate. It will generate if they're turning 5, it will generate 5 books. If they're turning 6, it will generate 6 books, and it will keep a track of those books. And you have a link to an affiliate program on book. What's it called? Books.com, where you can then go buy the books. So that's how the site makes money. Again, it's entirely free. It's not something that you pay for. It's something that I was inspired by a TikTok video where a man was talking about how his dad bought a book for every, so when he was 12, he got 12 books, and then the man passed away, but the man had pre-ordered books for the next 5 years till he turned 18. So I figured out, what if, a parent wanted to buy books for their kids the same way, so that was what led to this. This product, again, this is a product I built the same period. This is actually something my wife uses. It's called Remindlify. I'm currently transferring it. It existed in a previous design. I'm transferring it to to this design. And essentially, what it is she sends emails. She's a YouTuber. She sends emails to email marketing, and she said she's paying too much. I was like, yeah, might as well just write you an entirely new version of what you do. So I got all the requirements from her, and I rewrote all of this again, Thanksgiving weekend in a day. And so I think I did 3 products that weekend. And essentially, what this helps you to do is you can log in, create a subscriber list, and it would send out emails. And I'm saying, well, I might as well build a product that she uses that sends lots of emails. She sends lots of emails at a high price, and I can literally cut that in half. Even though she's not going to pay for this, but it means that if she has that problem, other people have that problem. This is a partnership that I'm working with my neighbor who is a movie producer, and this is supposed to be a next generation streaming service. Discussions started December 7th, first week of December, and we have built front end, back end, and an iOS application. This is December 19th, so this is like 12 days later. And the aim of this is to provide more diverse movies, in this case, Mongolian movies, and some other ones that we would put on the site. And this would go live very soon, probably later on today. And the aim of this is to, allow you to watch movies. And we built an I built an iOS app, front end, back end, Postgres. It's live. It's scaling with awesome streaming backend. So that's another idea. Well, thank you.